The research station Nexus Prime hummed with activity as beings from 12 different species worked together on the galaxy's most ambitious project. Dr. Emma Cohn, the only human aboard, had grown used to the curious stares and whispered conversations that followed her through the corridors. Humans were still new to the galactic community. Having joined just 5 years ago, Emma sat in the observation deck, reviewing data from the latest experiments when Lyra approached. The tall, graceful alien had skin that shimmered like liquid, mercury and large, dark eyes that seemed to hold ancient wisdom. Her species, the Valathi, were known throughout the galaxy for their advanced understanding of consciousness and mental connections. "Human Emma," Lyra said, her voice carrying the musical quality typical of her people. "I have observed your work patterns for many cycles now. Your species fascinates me." Emma looked up from her tablet, offering a friendly smile. "Thanks, Lyra. Your people's research on neural networks has been incredibly helpful too." Lyra moved closer, her expression becoming more serious. "I wish to make a request of you, one that may seem strange to your kind." She paused, seeming to gather courage. "I would like you to share intimacy with me." The observation deck fell silent. Emma felt her cheeks burn red as she noticed several other researchers had overheard. A blue-skinned Korthax scientist dropped his datapad, while 2 crystalline Zephyrians stopped their conversation mid-sentence. "I what?" Emma stammered, completely taken aback. Lyra's eyes widened, sensing the sudden tension. "Have I offended you? I meant no disrespect. Among my people, this is considered the highest honor one can offer to another being." Dr. Kale, a 4-armed Vraxion and the station's head researcher, quickly intervened. "Perhaps this conversation should continue in private," he suggested, his mechanical translator giving his words a formal tone. Emma stood up, still flustered. "Lyra, I think there might be some kind of misunderstanding here. When humans talk about intimacy, we usually mean physical bonding for reproduction." Lyra finished, her silver skin darkening with what Emma had learned was embarrassment among her species. "Yes, I am aware of your species' definition, but that is not what I mean." The confusion deepened. Emma looked around at the gathered aliens, all watching with intense curiosity. She had studied xenobiology and cultural differences, but this was beyond anything in her training. "Then what do you mean?" Emma asked carefully. Lyra's hands moved in a complex gesture that Emma recognized as a sign of deep respect among the Valathi. "I mean the sharing of one's deepest fears, memories, and experiences. The complete opening of one's mind to another. What you might call ... soul-bearing." The other researchers exchanged glances. This was clearly significant, though Emma still didn't fully understand why. "In our culture," Lyra continued, "intimacy is not about physical touch. It is about mental and emotional connection at the deepest possible level. We share our most private thoughts, our childhood memories, our greatest fears and hopes. It creates a bond that lasts lifetimes." Emma felt a chill run down her spine. "And you want to do this with me?" "Yes," Lyra said simply. "Your species thinks in ways that are completely alien to us. The way you solve problems, the way you face danger, the way you care for others, even when it brings you no benefit, is unlike anything we have encountered. I believe that sharing intimacy with a human could revolutionize our understanding of consciousness itself." Dr. Kale cleared his throat. "Lyra, you understand that humans do not possess the telepathic abilities required for Valathi intimacy rituals?" "That is precisely why I'm so interested," Lyra replied. "How does a species form deep connections without direct mind-to-mind contact? How do they share their innermost selves?" I have observed human Emma comforting Dr. Voss when he received bad news from his home world. I have seen her stay late to help others with their research, even when her own work suffers. These actions suggest a form of intimacy that my people do not understand. Emma sat back down, her mind racing. Around them, the other researchers continued to watch with fascination. She realized that this moment would be talked about throughout the station and possibly throughout the galaxy for years to come. "Lyra," she said finally, "I think we need to have a very long conversation about what intimacy means to humans. And I think," she paused, looking around at the gathered aliens, "everyone here is going to learn something they never expected about both our species." The stage was set for a discovery that would change how the galaxy viewed both humans and the nature of connection itself. The explanation 3 hours later. Emma sat in the station's cultural exchange room with Lyra and 5 other researchers, representing different species. The room had been designed to accommodate various alien forms, with adjustable lighting and atmospheric controls. "Let me make sure I understand this correctly," Emma said, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "When your people share intimacy, you literally connect minds?" Lyra nodded, her silver skin rippling with soft patterns. "Yes, we open our consciousness completely to another. Every memory, every emotion, every thought becomes shared between us. It is how we truly know another being." Dr. Kale leaned forward with his 4 arms crossed. "Among my people, the Vraxians, we share intimacy through synchronized work. We build things together, our minds focused on the same goal. The deeper the project, the more intimate the connection." A small, fuzzy creature named Pip spoke up in a high-pitched voice. "My species connects through scent sharing. We exchange our natural pheromones over many cycles. It tells the complete story of our lives, our health, our emotions." Emma looked around the room, realizing how different each species was. "So none of you understand how humans connect." "That is correct," said Dr. Mora, a tall being with crystal-like features. "We have observed your species for 5 years, but your bonding methods remain mysterious. You have no telepathy, no sense sharing, no synchronized consciousness. Yet, you form incredibly strong connections." Emma took a deep breath. "Humans share intimacy through trust and vulnerability. We tell each other our secrets, our fears, our dreams. We listen to each other's stories and remember them. We offer comfort when someone is hurt, even if we cannot feel their pain directly." "But how do you know the other being is truly understanding you?" Lyra asked, her large eyes filled with confusion. "Without direct mind contact, how can you be certain your thoughts are being received correctly?" Emma smiled sadly. "We can't. That's what makes it so special. When a human shares something deeply personal, they're taking a risk. They're choosing to trust another person with something precious, even though they might be rejected or misunderstood." The room fell silent. Emma could see the alien researchers processing this information, their various expressions showing confusion and fascination. "You mean," Dr. Kale said slowly, "humans form bonds based on the possibility of rejection?" "Not the possibility," Emma corrected, "the risk. We choose to be vulnerable anyway. When I tell my friend about my worst fear, I'm not just sharing information. I'm showing them that I trust them enough to give them the power to hurt me." Pip's fur stood on end. "That sounds terrifying." "It is," Emma agreed. "But it's also beautiful. When someone chooses to trust you with their deepest self, knowing you could hurt them, but believing you won't, that creates something incredible between you." Lyra's skin patterns swirled faster. "I think I am beginning to understand. Your species has turned the absence of direct connection into the foundation of connection itself." "Exactly," Emma said, feeling excited that they were starting to grasp the concept. "We can't read each other's minds, so we have to choose to open them. We can't feel each other's emotions directly, so we have to learn to recognize and respond to them." Dr. Mora's crystalline form flickered with different colors. "This explains the behavior patterns we have observed. Humans spending time together. Without apparent purpose, humans comforting others, even when they gain nothing from it. We call it empathy, Emma said. We imagine what another person might be feeling and respond to it. We can't know for sure if we're right, but we try anyway. Lyra stood up suddenly, her movements filled with excitement. Human Emma, I understand now why I wish to share intimacy with you. Your species has developed something that no other known species possesses, the ability to connect across the void of individual consciousness without any natural bridge. But, Emma said carefully, I still don't understand why this is so important to you personally, Lyra. Lyra's silver skin darkened again, and she looked away. Because my people are dying, she said quietly. Our telepathic abilities are weakening. With each generation, we are slowly losing the ability to share true intimacy with each other. I thought if I could understand how your species connects with empathy, perhaps I could help my people learn a new way. The room went completely silent. Emma felt her heart break for Lyra and her people. Around them, the other researchers seemed equally moved by this revelation. Lyra, Emma said gently, I would be honored to share intimacy with you. The human way. The alien's large eyes filled with something that looked remarkably like hope. Asterisk. The sharing Emma and Lyra sat across from each other in Emma's private quarters. The lights were dimmed, and Emma had prepared Tia, human ritual she hoped would help create the right atmosphere for what they were about to attempt. I have never done this before, Lyra admitted, her silver skin showing nervous patterns. Among my people, intimacy happens instantly when minds connect. How do humans ... begin? Emma smiled warmly. We start small. We share something that feels safe, then gradually open up more as trust builds. Here, let me show you. She took a sip of her tea and looked directly into Lyra's dark eyes. When I was 7 years old, I was afraid of the dark. I used to hide under my blankets and imagine monsters in every shadow. Lyra tilted her head, processing. This, you are sharing a fear from your childhood? Yes, Emma said. It's not my deepest fear, but it's real and personal. Now, in human intimacy, you would share something similar. A memory from your own childhood, perhaps. Lyra's skin patterns shifted to deeper silver tones. This is difficult. My people do not usually speak of individual memories. They are simply shared. She paused, then continued slowly. When I was young, before my telepathic abilities fully developed, I felt completely alone. I could see my family communicating mind to mind, but I could not join them. I thought I was broken. Emma felt a deep pang of empathy. That must have been terrifying. Being surrounded by people who could connect with each other, but not with you. Yes, Lyra said softly. How did you know that was what I felt? Because that's what I would have felt, Emma replied. We humans have to guess at each other's emotions, but we get pretty good at it. We learn to read faces, voices, body language. We imagine ourselves in the other person's situation. Lyra's eyes widened. You ... you felt my emotion just now. But you have no telepathy. No, but I have imagination. And experience. I've felt alone before, so I can recognize it in others. Emma leaned forward. That's what human intimacy is built on, the willingness to feel what others feel, even when it hurts. For the next hour, they continued sharing. Emma told Lyra about her grandmother's death, about her fear of not being good enough, about her dreams of exploring the galaxy. Lyra shared her memories of the first time she successfully connected with another mind, her worry about her people's future, and her deep loneliness despite being surrounded by telepathic beings. I find this strange, Lyra said during a quiet moment. When my people share minds, we know everything about each other instantly. But this ... this feels deeper somehow. How so? Emma asked. Because you are choosing what to share. Each memory, each fear, each dream is a deliberate gift. When I tell you about my loneliness, I am trusting you with something precious. When you share your fears with me, you are giving me the power to hurt you, as you said before. Emma nodded. And because you choose not to hurt me, because you respond with understanding instead of judgment, the trust grows stronger. Lyra's skin began to glow softly. I think I understand now. Your species has turned the barriers between minds into bridges. The very thing that separates you from each other becomes the foundation of your connection. Yes, Emma said, feeling a warm connection growing between them. We can't know each other completely, so we have to choose to know each other partially. We can't feel each other's pain directly, so we have to learn to care about pain we can't feel. Lyra stood up and began pacing, her excitement growing. This is revolutionary. My people have been trying to strengthen our telepathic abilities. But what if we learned to connect like humans do? What if we could form bonds through choice, rather than just through mental contact? Emma watched her new friend with growing amazement. Lyra, are you saying that human intimacy might be stronger than telepathic intimacy? Not stronger, Lyra corrected, but different, more intentional. When my people share minds, we cannot help but know each other. But when humans share hearts, they choose to know each other. There is beauty in that choice. Emma felt tears forming in her eyes. I never thought about it that way. We always assumed telepathic species had deeper connections than us. Perhaps, Lyra said, sitting back down, the deepest connections are the ones we build by choice, not by nature. Outside Emma's quarters, unknown to both of them, several other researchers had been listening to their conversation through the station's communication system. Word was already spreading throughout the galaxy about this remarkable discovery. Revelation the next morning, Emma woke to find her communication device flooded with messages. Scientists from across the galaxy were requesting interviews, data, and demonstrations of human intimacy protocols. The story had spread faster than she could have imagined. Dr. Kale met her at the station's main laboratory, his forearms moving in agitation. Emma, we have a problem. The Galactic Science Council is demanding an immediate report on your interaction with Lyra. They're calling it a significant xenological discovery. Emma rubbed her tired eyes. It wasn't supposed to be a discovery. It was just two friends getting to know each other. That's exactly what makes it significant, came a new voice. Emma turned to see Dr. Vex, a high-ranking official from the Galactic Science Council. His species, the Cortex, were known for their logical approach to everything. We have been studying human behavior for 5 years, but we never understood the mechanism behind your social bonds. Lyra appeared at Emma's side, her silver skin showing patterns of distress. Emma, I did not mean for this to become a public spectacle. I simply wanted to learn. Dr. Vex continued, seemingly oblivious to their discomfort. The implications are staggering. If non-telepathic species can form deeper bonds than telepathic ones, we need to completely revise our understanding of consciousness and connection. Wait, Emma said, holding up her hand. Who said our bonds are deeper? The recordings show clear evidence, Dr. Vex replied, pulling up a holographic display. During your sharing session, both your stress levels decreased significantly. Your brain activity showed patterns associated with deep satisfaction and connection. Most remarkably, Lyra's telepathic centers showed increased activity despite not being in direct mental contact with anyone. Lyra's eyes widened. My telepathic abilities increased? Not increased, Dr. Vex clarified. Refined. Your brain began processing empathetic responses in ways we've never seen before. You were learning to read nonverbal cues, to interpret emotional states without direct mental contact. In essence, you were developing human-like empathy. Emma felt a chill run down her spine. What does that mean for Lyra's people? Dr. Vex's expression grew serious. It means that the Velothi might not be doomed after all. If they can learn human intimacy techniques, they might be able to maintain their social bonds even as their telepathy weakens. Suddenly, the laboratory filled with beings from a dozen different species. Emma recognized ambassadors, scientists, and cultural experts from across the galaxy. They all looked at her with intense curiosity. "Human Emma," said Ambassador Zrix, a tall crystalline being who spoke for the Galactic Council. "Your species has unknowingly developed something that could revolutionize galactic society. We request that you share your knowledge with all our species." Emma looked around at the assembled aliens, feeling overwhelmed. "You want me to teach the entire galaxy how to have feelings?" "Not feelings," corrected Dr. Yasa, a fuzzy creature Emma recognized as a leading expert on interspecies relations. "Connection. Your species has developed the ability to form bonds across the void of individual consciousness. This could help species who have lost their natural connection abilities, or species who never had them to begin with." Lyra stepped forward. "Emma, I have been thinking about this all night. What if this is why humans were brought into the galactic community? Not for your technology or your resources, but for this, your ability to connect across differences." Emma felt the weight of the moment. But human intimacy isn't something you can just teach in a classroom. It takes time, trust, vulnerability. You can't rush it. "Then we will learn patience," said Ambassador Zrix. "The Galactic Council is prepared to establish a new department, the Institute for Connection Studies. We want you to lead it." Emma's heart pounded. "You want me to teach aliens how to love?" "Not love," Dr. Vex corrected, "though that may be a result. We want you to teach them how to choose connection over isolation, how to build bridges where nature built walls." Emma looked at Lyra, who nodded encouragingly. "You showed me something beautiful yesterday, Emma. Something my people desperately need. Please, share it with the galaxy." Emma took a deep breath, looking around at the assembled beings. Each species was different, each with their own ways of thinking and feeling. But they all shared one thing, the desire to connect with others. "All right," she said finally. "But we do this the human way. No rushing, no shortcuts. Real intimacy takes time." The assembled beings nodded in agreement, though Emma suspected they had no idea what they were agreeing to. She was about to teach the galaxy something that humans had been learning for millennia, that the most profound connections are built not through shared abilities, but through shared choices, the legacy asterisk. 6 months later, Emma stood in the main hall of the newly established Institute for Connection Studies, watching an extraordinary sight. Across the vast space, beings from dozens of species sat in small groups, sharing stories and listening to each other with focused attention. In one corner, a group of Velothi were practicing what Emma had taught them to call active listening, paying attention not just to words, but to tone, body language, and emotion. Their silver skin showed patterns Emma had learned to recognize as deep concentration and empathy. Near the center of the hall, several Korthax were engaged in what humans would call vulnerability sharing, deliberately telling each other about their fears and insecurities. For a species that prided itself on logic, this was revolutionary. "The progress is remarkable," Dr. Kale said, approaching Emma with his usual formal gait. "The Zephyrians have developed their own version of human intimacy using light patterns. The Vraxians are sharing personal projects instead of just functional ones." Emma smiled, watching a young Zephyrian's crystalline body flicker with gentle colors as she shared a childhood memory with a Vraxian engineer. "It's not about copying human behavior exactly. It's about understanding the principles and adapting them to each species' nature." Lyra joined them, her appearance noticeably different from 6 months ago. Her silver skin seemed more expressive, showing subtle patterns that Emma had learned to read like facial expressions. Emma, I have news from my homeworld. The elders want to implement your teachings across our entire society. How are they responding? Emma asked. With hope, Lyra said simply. For the first time in generations, young Velothi who cannot fully connect telepathically are not being seen as damaged. They are being taught to connect in new ways. Emma felt a warm glow of satisfaction. That's wonderful, Lyra. But remember, this isn't about replacing telepathy. It's about having multiple ways to connect. We understand, Lyra replied. Some of our people can do both now telepathic sharing and what we call choice bonding. They say the combination creates connections, more beautiful than either alone. Dr. Vex approached their group, his logical demeanor softened by months of participating in the program. Emma, we have requests from 47 star systems to establish branch institutes. The demand is unprecedented. Emma looked around the hall again, watching species that had never understood each other now forming genuine friendships. Are we ready for that kind of expansion? The question is whether you're ready, Dr. Vex replied. You've become something unique in the galaxy, a bridge between all species. Your understanding of connection has given you insights into cultures that experts have studied for centuries without truly comprehending. Emma felt the weight of responsibility. I'm just one person, and I'm still learning about all these different species myself. That's exactly why it works, came a new voice. Ambassador Rix materialized beside them, her crystalline form shimmering with approval. You approach each species with genuine curiosity rather than predetermined theories. You learn their ways of connection and help them learn yours. Emma watched as a group of beings from 5 different species worked together on what looked like a collaborative art project. They were laughing or making sounds that served the same purpose for their species and clearly enjoying each other's company. There's something else, Lyra said quietly. The Galactic Council wants to propose a new classification system for species. Instead of categorizing them by technology or physiology, they want to classify them by their connection methods. Emma raised an eyebrow. What would that accomplish? It would help new species integrate more quickly, Dr. Vex explained. Instead of spending decades figuring out how to communicate with them, we could immediately begin building bridges of understanding. Emma considered this. As long as we remember that connection isn't about categories. It's about individuals choosing to understand each other, which is exactly what you've taught us, Ambassador Rix said. The galaxy is becoming more connected, not because of new technology or shared abilities, but because beings are choosing to reach across the void between minds. Emma looked out at the hall one more time. Near the far wall, she spotted a group she hadn't seen before, humans who had arrived on the latest transport, sitting with various aliens and sharing stories of Earth. They were naturally doing what Emma had spent months teaching others to do. You know what I find most amazing? Emma said to her friends. Humans developed these connection skills because we had to. We couldn't read each other's minds, so we had to learn to read each other's hearts. Now that same necessity is helping species all across the galaxy. Lyra's skin showed patterns of deep contentment. Perhaps that was always the plan. Perhaps humans were meant to teach the galaxy that the greatest connections are the ones we choose to make. Emma smiled, watching the beautiful chaos of dozens of species learning to understand each other. Maybe we're all just learning that connection is what makes us more than the sum of our parts. In the end, that was the most human thing of all, turning necessity into beauty, isolation into connection, and strangers into family. Asterisk.